Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video I'll be going over a few players that dominated the Washington Commanders mini camp, some younger guys, some older guys. We'll talk about that and much more, show you guys some highlights. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well so you never miss a video. Let's get right into it. So the Commanders finished their 3-day mini camp period. Overall pretty successful. There was one injury, which always does suck, and that was Noah Brown. Still no updates on that, but like no update after a couple days is not the best, I would say. But again, holding out hope there that it's, a minor thing, that, he'll be able to be back for training camp or the start of the season. But again, not too hopeful for that one. But we're going to get into a few players that, we heard some pretty good things about them in minicamp, and let's get started. So Luke McCaffrey has had a pretty good offseason so far, so I'll show you guys this clip. This was from Jaden to Luke, or I think it was on the first day. I'll show you guys this clip. You see Jaden on the run a little bit to the right, throws a nice pass to Luke in stride, and Luke is able to, take it to the end zone and make that touchdown, make that play. And I think this is really good because I think those two need to increase their confidence, not individually. Maybe Luke McCaffrey, Jaden's confident, but I'm talking about their confidence when, especially Jaden's confidence when throwing to Luke McCaffrey, because last year it wasn't great. There's a lot of times Luke was open, Jaden wouldn't throw to him, or sometimes he would throw to him, but it would be an interception or it'd be a bad ball. And I think that's just a connection issue. And getting these reps in during practice, I think, is really huge. So I'll show this clip one more time. On the run, throws it a dot to Luke McCaffrey, who makes the catch and sprints into the end zone. So again, I think that's really cool to see, and I think Nicky Jabala said on that day he had 2 or 3x more catches. So he had a really good day one, and I think has some decent other days as well. But that day one was the one that he really stood out. I made the video about him then, talking about day one, but also how he was balling out. So Luke McCaffrey, I don't know. It's just mini camp. We got to get to training camp. Got to get to the preseason and the regular season. So not really getting too excited until we see it happening in the regular season, and not just happening, but happening consistently. All right, player number 2. This is a veteran, Marshon Lattimore. I think he's had a really good training, or I keep saying training camp, but a really good mini camp. Played against Noah Brown here one-on-one. Noah Brown kind of beat him early on, but then Marshon Lattimore recovered, and he was able to make an aggressive play on the ball, and it ended up being incomplete. So again, he's had a really solid mini camp, and I think the biggest thing with him is just seeing some of the clips. He looks quick, he looks explosive. I'm trying to find some right now. And okay, here's one clip of him going up against Trey Amos. He just looks a lot quicker than he did in the playoffs last year. He looks much more explosive, and the guy that they traded for, and not the guy that was playing last year in the playoffs, who, he had some okay games, had some pretty bad games, but again, that's just not who we traded for. We traded for one of the better cornerbacks in the league. That's what we thought. So this looks more like that type of player. And Lattimore even said he wasn't, really healthy last year, but he was just, playing through the injury and toughing it out, and trying to help the team as much as he could. So I guess that's good. But now that he's back and healthy, we got different expectations for him, and I think a lot of the fans kind of changed their outlook on Lattimore after these last few days. It's just mini camp, but I'm a little higher on him than I was, just because he does really look a lot healthier, even just from this clip. I think you can definitely tell, he looks healthier, he looks fluid, he looks explosive, and I think that'll make a big difference in his play this year. He just looks like a different player. Also, the number 2, I don't know, it makes him look skinnier. The 23, 2 digits makes it look a little bit different. So that's definitely something that takes a little bit of getting used to, but he did wear 2 at college, but not like I really watched Marshon Lattimore at Ohio State. Let's see. All right, the last player, and I wanted to do a couple young players, so we'll go over a couple of other players as well, actually. But Ben Sinnet has had a really solid training mini camp, and here is a touchdown he caught, I believe, in mini camp. Was thrown by Marcus Mariota and was able to make the catch, make someone miss, and then just finish the play and run it in the end zone. So that was good to see for sure. Oh, why? Okay, I don't know why. Someone quote tweeted it and said that was Ben Sinnet, but it was Colson Yankoff. I was like, yeah, he doesn't wear 41. But this, let's see, let me pull up the play right here. This was the play. I'm sorry about that. He made a really nice touchdown catch from Marcus Mariota during 7v7. So that's really cool to see. I'm going to keep that part in the video because, it's funny to show mistakes sometimes. But, hey, if you're a Colston Yankoff fan, then you can go ahead and, maybe that gets you a little bit hyped for, the start of the season. Yeah, I guess this was – I was looking at Ben Sinnet. I didn't do my due diligence there. But some other things, He said a lot more confident and a lot more comfortable is what he's expecting, going into his second year. Also, let's see, I want to pull up this tweet. Percy Butler, Jordan McGee, and Ben Sinnet are a few players that stood out this offseason to Dan Quinn, a few young guys. So, Percy Butler, I don't know. I'm not really too high on him. He's been with us for a few years, hasn't really shown a lot. But Jordan McGee, I was really high on coming out of Temple, I believe, last season, and just had some injury issues, but did play. He was a 5th-round pick, so you can't expect too much from him in his rookie year. But excited to see what he can do this year, especially learning behind Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu for all of last year. And now this offseason, I think that's a huge help. And then Ben Sinnet as well is another guy that stood out. But Jordan McGee, for the most part, I've heard some good things about him this offseason, just from coaches and I believe, some different players and, him making plays. So that is really good to hear for sure. Really good to hear. Some other, players that have done well in minicamp, but I've been talking about them for a minute now, so I don't want to just keep talking about the same players every time. But rookies, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and then also Trey Amos, both had decent camps. I know on the first day, Bill had, Bill / Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, that's his nickname. He had a 60-yard run in, the first day of practice, and that was, for a touchdown. So that was cool to hear about, and he looked explosive. So, he's a guy that, is going to continue to try to earn as many reps as he can and as many reps and plays in this offense as he can. And then, Trey Amos, just, continuing to hear good things about him this offseason. So that's always good. I know Zach Selby did his top 3 players that have balled out. And he had Luke McCaffrey. He put Mike Sanderstill in, who is always impressive, and then also Chris Moore, the wide receiver. So he thinks that he has a chance to make this team. So hey, Chris Moore, we'll have to wait and see. These type of players, they have to have like a perfect offseason. So it starts with OTAs, then you go to minicamp, then you come back into training camp. You got to have a really good training camp, have a really good preseason. Then you have a chance to make the roster. You have to make them say, you know what, there's no way we can release this guy. We have to make room for him. So Chris Moore is that type of guy that has to have a really good offseason for them. But Noah Brown, his injury, obviously, it's unfortunate, but it does help Chris Moore's chances. It also helps, some of the other guys, and KJ Osborne, Michael Gallup, who Michael Gallup's dealing with an injury, hamstring injury. That definitely doesn't help his chances. And then Jalen Lane, I haven't heard much about him, and I do believe he is dealing with some kind of injury. He was on the side field, I believe, with Michael Gallup. So that's something to watch out for. Not a huge deal, but again, just something to watch out for. But yeah, that's kind of it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and